On a brisk, wintry day in Sweden, the roar of a 2.0-liter engine signaled a quiet revolution. In 1978, as frost clung to the streets and the light danced off icy windows, Saab, an automaker steeped in a legacy of aviation-inspired design, unveiled a daring creation. With its Garrett Air Research T3 turbocharger, poised to deliver a burst of power once reserved for the racetrack, the Saab 99 Turbo emerged from the shadows of tradition. Guided by the keen insights of engineers like Per Gillbrand, this family sedan bridged the gap between everyday comfort and raw, turbocharged performance. This is the story of Saab 99 Turbo. Saab was already known for its clever and practical designs when it introduced the Saab 99 in the late 1960s. The first Saab 99 was shown to the world on November 22, 1967, and production began in the fall of 1968 with 4,190 cars built that year. By 1970, the company had begun producing a four-door model, which allowed more families to enjoy the car. The original Saab 99 used a 1.7-liter engine from Triumph, a British car maker. This engine produced 87 horsepower and was set at a 45-degree angle, which helped the car move smoothly through the air. However, the Triumph engine was not always reliable, and Saab soon decided to build its own engine. By September 1972, Saab had introduced a new 2.0-liter engine known as the B engine. This engine was built by Saab itself and offered better performance and reliability than the earlier engine from Triumph. The idea of using a turbocharger to boost power was not common in passenger cars at that time. In August 1976, Saab announced plans to produce a turbocharged version of the 99. This decision brought excitement because turbocharging had mostly been used in racing or high-performance vehicles. Saab's engineering team, led by Per Gillbrand, began working on a turbo system that would give more power without making the engine larger. Their goal was to maintain fuel efficiency while providing a boost in performance. After many tests and changes, Saab introduced the 99 Turbo at the 1977 Frankfurt Motor Show. The car came with a 2.0-liter 4-cylinder engine that had a Garrett Air Research T3 turbocharger. This turbocharger added about 30 horsepower to the engine, bringing the total output to 145 horsepower. The engine also produced 174 pound-feet of torque. These numbers allowed the Saab 99 Turbo to reach a top speed of about 125 miles per hour and to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 8.5 seconds. These figures were very good for a family sedan in that era, placing the car in a category that could compete with some sports cars. One of the challenges with early turbocharged engines was a delay in power delivery, known as turbo lag. This is the time between pressing the accelerator and the moment the turbocharger sends extra air to the engine. Saab's engineers worked hard to solve this problem. They chose a small turbocharger that could build boost pressure quickly, starting from as low as 1,500 revolutions per minute. The engine also featured electronic fuel injection and ignition systems, which helped reduce the lag and improve the overall response of the car. This careful engineering ensured that the driver experienced a smooth and timely increase in power when needed. The engine in the Saab 99 Turbo was designed to be strong and long-lasting. To cope with the extra stress from turbocharging, the engine used a lower compression ratio of 7.5 to 1. Special pistons were used, and sodium-filled exhaust valves were added to handle the high temperatures that came with increased performance. An oil cooler was included to keep the oil at a safe temperature, and a revised camshaft profile improved the way the engine breathed. All these changes helped the engine deliver more power without sacrificing the reliability that Saab drivers had come to expect. The design of the Saab 99 Turbo followed the style of the standard Saab 99, but included special features that made it stand out. One of the first things people noticed was the unique alloy wheels, which many referred to as soccer ball wheels because of their design. These wheels not only looked different, but also helped keep the brakes cool during use. The car also had front and rear spoilers that improved its aerodynamics. These spoilers were not just for looks. They also helped keep the car stable at higher speeds by reducing the lift on the car. Inside the car, Saab made choices that showed their attention to both comfort and safety. The seats were made with high-quality materials to support the driver during spirited driving. The dashboard was designed so that all the instruments and controls were easy to see and reach. One interesting design feature was the placement of the ignition switch between the front seats. This design choice was inspired by Saab's background in aviation and was made to help reduce the risk of knee injuries in case of an accident. The placement of the switch was a simple but thoughtful detail that showed Saab's attention to safety. The windshield of the Saab 99 Turbo was curved and wrapped around the driver, giving a wide field of view. This wraparound windshield helped improve the car's aerodynamics and made it easier to see in traffic. The steep angle of the A-pillars further enhanced the driver's view. The car's drag coefficient was 0.37, which was low for the time. This low drag coefficient not only improved performance but also helped with fuel efficiency, a key goal for Saab when designing the car. There were differences in design between the cars built for different markets. In the United States, Saab 99 turbo cars were equipped with quad headlights, a design also used on Saab's rally cars. In Europe, however, the standard one-piece headlamps were kept. European models also featured vertical sweeping headlight wipers that helped maintain good visibility during bad weather. Another change in design was seen in the bumpers. Unlike earlier models that had chrome bumpers, the 99 Turbo had bumpers made of black plastic. These black bumpers provided better resistance to impacts and gave the car a more modern look for its time. The 99 Turbo also had a feature called the Extra button on the dashboard. This button allowed drivers to control additional accessories or functions as needed. Although it was a small detail, it showed how Saab aimed to offer extra convenience and customization for drivers. Every detail in the car, from the engine to the interior design, was carefully planned to provide a balanced mix of performance, safety, and practicality. The impact of the 99 Turbo went beyond its technical achievements. In 1979, a rally-tuned version of the car was driven by Stig Blomqvist in the Swedish rally. This victory demonstrated that a car designed for everyday use could also compete on tough rally tracks. The rally success of the 99 Turbo showed that turbocharged engines could be both powerful and durable, and it encouraged other manufacturers to look into turbocharging as a way to boost the performance of their vehicles. Saab's decision to use a turbocharged engine in the 99 Turbo had long-lasting effects on the automotive industry. At the time, turbochargers were seen mostly in high-end sports cars or racing vehicles. With the introduction of the 99 Turbo, turbocharging became more acceptable in everyday cars. This shift meant that more drivers could enjoy the benefits of extra power without having to drive a specialized sports car. Today, many cars use turbocharged engines to provide a good balance of power and fuel economy, and much of that technology can trace its roots back to early experiments like those done by Saab. The story of the Saab 99 Turbo is not just about a car with a turbocharged engine. It is about a moment when engineers and designers came together to solve real problems, such as engine reliability and turbo lag. The work done by Saab during the late 1960s and 1970s set the stage for many of the turbocharged engines we see in modern cars. This period in automotive history is remembered as a time of practical innovation, where safety, performance, and usability were all given equal attention. In the mid-1980s, during a time when rally racing was full of risks and surprises, in a dramatic twist of fate, a small city car was reborn as a powerful race car built for the fierce Group B events. Built by Austin Rover, the MG Metro 6R4 is not the everyday Metro you see on city streets. Instead, it was a car designed to take on the rough and challenging world of rallying, with every detail carefully planned and built to meet strict racing rules. With a mid-mounted engine and four-wheel drive, the MG Metro 6R4 surprised many by stepping far away from its family car roots. As we explore the journey of this car, we will meet the engineers from Williams Grand Prix Engineering, hear about the unique V64V engine developed with input from David Wood, and see how a small production run of around 205 cars made a big mark in rally history. The MG Metro 6R4 was created by Austin Rover during a time when rally racing rules called for manufacturers to build road-legal cars that were almost as different from standard vehicles as possible. The term 6R4 stands for six-cylinder rally four-wheel drive. This was a car built with one purpose: to compete in Group B rallies. Group B racing was known for its high performance, advanced technology, and strict safety demands. To be eligible to race in Group B, manufacturers had to build a minimum number of road-legal versions. This requirement meant that while the MG Metro 6R4 was a race car at heart, it also had to meet certain road safety and design standards. The design of the MG Metro 6R4 was nearly completely different from the everyday MG Metro. One of the most notable differences is its chassis. Instead of using the standard body, engineers built a new space frame chassis made of welded metal tubes. This space frame was built to be both strong and light. The design team paid close attention to each tube and weld, ensuring that the car could protect its driver during the high speeds and rough conditions of rally racing. Every bolt and joint was checked to meet strict standards. This careful construction helped the MG Metro 6R4 perform well on twisty roads and rough terrain. Another major change in the design was the placement of the engine. In a normal MG Metro, the engine is placed in the front of the car. In the MG Metro 6R4, however, the engine is mounted in the middle of the car. This mid-engine layout helped the car balance better when cornering at high speeds. With the engine located behind the driver but ahead of the rear wheels, the weight was distributed in a way that improved handling. Engineers spent a lot of time calculating the weight distribution so that the car could tackle the tight corners and fast stages of rally courses. This arrangement was one of the reasons the car could be competitive in a sport that demanded both speed and agility. The body of the MG Metro 6R4 also saw significant changes. Instead of using the regular steel panels found on the road car, much of the bodywork was made from glass-reinforced plastic, GRP. GRP is much lighter than steel and could be molded into the aerodynamic shapes needed for a rally car. However, not all parts were made from GRP. Some panels, like the roof and certain door parts, were made of aluminum and steel to meet safety and durability needs. These choices in materials were very important. Every extra pound can affect a car's performance in a rally, so keeping the weight low was a key design goal. In this race car, light weight was achieved without compromising strength and safety. The engine in the MG Metro 6R4 was another area that set this car apart. Known as the V64V engine, this V6 engine was built with a 90 degrees bank angle. The engine was designed with help from David Wood and engineers from Williams Grand Prix Engineering who had experience in Formula One. In fact, some ideas in the V64V engine were borrowed from the famous Cosworth DFV engine used in Formula One. The V64V engine was built in a 3-liter format and had twin overhead camshafts with 4 valves per cylinder. These features allowed the engine to produce a high power output without using a turbocharger in its original design. The choice to use a naturally aspirated engine was made to ensure quick throttle response, which is very important in rally racing where every moment counts. Lightweight materials were also used in the engine. The engine block was made of cast aluminum alloy, which helps with heat dissipation and keeps the weight low. The cylinder heads were also made from aluminum. This meant that every component of the engine was designed to work together to produce high performance while keeping the overall weight down. The V64V engine was built to have a high redline, reaching speeds of up to 9,000 revolutions per minute in its racing form. In the road-legal versions, the engine produced around 250 horsepower. In some later versions and modified cars used for rallycross, some owners added turbochargers. These turbocharged engines could produce up to 700 horsepower, but the basic design of the V64V engine remained the same even after such modifications. The suspension system of the MG Metro 6R4 was designed to handle the harsh conditions of rally racing. The car used an independent coil spring setup with telescopic dampers. These dampers were designed to absorb the bumps of rough roads and keep the tires in contact with the road surface. Every part of the suspension was adjustable. This meant that the car could be fine-tuned for different rally stages, whether the course was twisty or fast and open. The attention to detail in the suspension helped make the car more stable during racing. Engineers worked carefully to ensure that the MG Metro 6R4 could handle both the quick changes in direction and the high forces encountered on rally stages. The drivetrain of the car was equally unique. The MG Metro 6R4 was built with a permanent four-wheel drive system. This system sent power from the engine to all four wheels all the time. The design included separate drive shafts for the front and rear differentials. One interesting feature was the mounting of the rear differential on the side of the engine sump. One drive shaft had to run through the sump to reach the rear wheel. This unusual layout was chosen after careful study of the car's weight distribution and the need for proper packaging within the limited space. The transmission was a 5-speed manual with a dog engagement system, a setup that allowed for quick gear changes under racing conditions. The MG Metro 6R4 was built in two main versions. The first version is known as the Clubman model. The Clubman model was made to meet the homologation rules. This meant that a minimum number of cars had to be produced so that the car could be used in international rally events. Approximately 200 examples of the Clubman model were made. In this version, the engine produced around 250 horsepower. The Clubman was built to be driven on public roads as well as on the rally stage. It came with features such as the original dashboard from the regular MG Metro and a seating layout that met road safety standards. The second version of the Metro 6R4 is the International model. The International model was built purely for racing. Only about 20 examples of the International model were made. In the International version, the engine was tuned to produce over 410 horsepower. Along with the more powerful engine, the International model had a more advanced fuel injection system. Other components, such as the suspension settings and the aerodynamic aids, were adjusted for maximum performance on the racetrack. The bodywork on the International model was slightly different as well. Small changes were made to improve aerodynamics and reduce weight. The interior of the International model was more stripped down, with fewer road-oriented features, in order to save weight and improve speed. The story of the MG Metro 6R4 is also a story of racing history. The car made its debut at the Lombard RAC Rally in November 1985. At this event, Works driver Tony Pond drove the MG Metro 6R4 and managed to finish in third place overall. This result was surprising for many who knew the MG Metro as a small city car. The performance of the MG Metro 6R4 at the RAC Rally showed that a car built from a small Metro could hold its own against cars that were designed solely for speed and endurance. The MG Metro 6R4 soon began to appear in many international rallies, including the Monte Carlo Rally, events in Sweden, Portugal, and on the island of Corsica during the 1986 season. The racing season of 1986 was a challenging time for the MG Metro 6R4. The car faced several mechanical problems. Many retirements in races were linked to engine failures, such as timing belt issues and valve guide problems. The long and rough courses, along with varying weather conditions, tested the limits of the car. Despite these challenges, the MG Metro 6R4 continued to appear in national rallies, where private owners and teams worked to modify and improve the car for better reliability. In national events, the car achieved some success. For example, driver David Llewellyn recorded a win at the Circuit of Ireland Rally in 1986. In France, Didier Auriol drove the MG Metro 6R4 to victory in the French National Rally Championship during the same year. These wins, although not in international events, showed that the car had potential when it was properly set up and maintained. Group B racing was known for its extreme performance and high risk. Many manufacturers pushed their cars to the limit, and safety was a major concern. Several fatal accidents involving competitors and spectators led the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile (FIA) to ban Group B racing in 1986. The ban meant that even though the Metro 6R4 was still being improved, it would no longer have the chance to compete on the international stage. After the ban, many of the 6 R4 cars were sold into private hands. Private teams and enthusiasts used these cars in national rallies and in rallycross events. In rallycross, where races are held on shorter mixed surface tracks, some owners added turbochargers to the V64V engine. One such modified car was driven by Will Gollop, who went on to win several international rallycross titles during the early 1990s with his turbocharged MG Metro 6R4. After Group B racing ended, the legacy of the MG Metro 6R4 continued in ways that affected other vehicles. In 1987, Austin Rovers sold the remaining parts and engines of the 6R4 program to Tom Walkinshaw Racing. This transfer of technology was important because the V64V engine was later reworked and used in the Jaguar XJ220 supercar. The Jaguar XJ220 became known in the early 1990s for its speed and performance. Although the engine in the XJ220 was heavily modified and fitted with turbochargers, its roots lay in the design of the MG Metro 6R4's V64V engine. Collecting and preserving the MG Metro 6R4 has become an important part of its legacy. With only around 205 examples ever built, the car is very rare. The low production numbers were due to the strict homologation requirements, meaning that every car had to be built with the same careful attention to detail. Car clubs such as the MG Owners Club have published guides and technical details to help enthusiasts restore and maintain these vehicles. Over the years, many MG Metro 6R4S have been restored and are still seen at vintage rallies and classic car events. Collectors appreciate the car for its unique design and for its role in the brief but intense era of Group B rallying. Even the auction market has taken notice of the MG Metro 6R4. Recently, a 1987 Metro 6R4 Clubman was set to be auctioned with a price of around £240,000. The car had very low mileage and a complete maintenance history. Auction listings often mention the car's original paintwork, the MG logo on the steering wheel, and its well-documented service records. These details have helped keep the interest in the MG Metro 6R4 alive among collectors and motorsport enthusiasts. In the early 1980s, car companies were trying to make faster and more powerful cars, but not all of them focused on safety and durability. One company, however, took a different approach. Volvo, a brand known for making strong and long-lasting cars, decided to build something unexpected. They took their reliable 240 series and added a turbocharger. This turned a simple family car into a high-performance machine. Volvo introduced the 200 series in 1974, replacing the 140 series. The new lineup included the 240 and 260 models with different body styles like two-door 242, four-door 244, and station wagon 245. While the 200 series looked similar to the previous generation, it had some major improvements. Volvo redesigned the front suspension, using McPherson struts to improve handling. The body structure was reinforced to enhance safety, something Volvo was always known for. The new models also featured updated bumpers that could absorb impacts better than before. Under the hood, the 240 series introduced the B21 engine, a 2.1-liter inline-4 with an overhead camshaft. This engine replaced the older pushrod designs and provided smoother performance. Over the years, Volvo offered different engine options, including fuel-injected versions for better efficiency and power. The cars were built to last, with many owners driving them for hundreds of thousands of miles. By the early 1980s, turbocharging was becoming more popular. Saab had already proven that turbocharged engines could be both reliable and powerful. Volvo wanted to compete, but instead of designing a brand new sports car, they decided to modify the 240. In 1981, they introduced the 240 Turbo. It used the B21 FT engine, a 2.1-liter four-cylinder with a Garrett T3 turbocharger. This setup increased power significantly, with the European version producing 155 horsepower and 175 pound-feet of torque. The North American version was slightly detuned due to emissions regulations, making around 127 horsepower. Even with lower power figures, it was still one of the fastest cars Volvo had ever made. The 240 Turbo had several exterior changes to set it apart from regular 240 models. It featured a blacked-out grille, unique badging, and Virgo alloy wheels. The front end had a shovel-nose design, which improved aerodynamics slightly. Inside, the car had sportier seats and an updated dashboard. It wasn't a luxury car, but it was functional and built to last. Despite its performance upgrades, the 240 Turbo remained a practical car. The station wagon version was especially unique, one of the first turbocharged wagons ever sold. It was fast, but it could also haul cargo and seat a family comfortably. This balance between speed and utility made the car appealing to a wider audience than traditional sports cars. In 1983, Volvo decided to take the 240 Turbo racing. They entered it into Group A touring car competitions, which required manufacturers to sell at least 5,000 road-going versions of their race cars. To meet this rule, Volvo built a special Evolution version of the 240 Turbo. It had a larger turbocharger, water injection, and other modifications to boost power for racing. The 240 Turbo's racing career started in the European Touring Car Championship, ETCC. Volvo partnered with Eggenberger Motorsport, a Swiss racing team led by Rudi Eggenberger. In 1984, the car showed promise but didn't dominate the field. However, by 1985, things had changed. Drivers Thomas Lindstrom and Gianfranco Brancatelli piloted the 240 Turbo to victory, winning the ETCC Championship. At the same time, the 240 Turbo was competing in the German Touring Car Championship, DTM. Per Sturesen, a Swedish driver, won the 1985 DTM Championship in a 240 Turbo. This was a huge achievement because Volvo was up against more established racing teams from BMW and Mercedes-Benz. The car's success earned it the nickname the Flying Brick due to its boxy shape and surprising speed. The 240 Turbo wasn't just successful in Europe. It also competed in Australia and New Zealand. In 1985, New Zealander Mark Petch bought a 240 Turbo from Sweden's Magnum racing team. With drivers Robbie Francevic and Michel Delcourt, the car won the Wellington 500 street race. Francevic later competed in the Australian Touring Car Championship, securing multiple wins. To handle the demands of racing, the 240 Turbo's engine was tuned to produce over 300 horsepower. This was a significant jump from the street version. The suspension and brakes were also upgraded to handle the increased speed and stress of competitive driving. Despite being a sedan and wagon-based race car, it held its own against lighter and more aerodynamic rivals. Although the 240 Turbo was successful in racing, it had a short competitive life. By the late 1980s, new regulations and advancements in technology made it harder for the car to keep up. Volvo eventually shifted its focus away from racing, and the 240 Turbo's time on the track came to an end. However, its impact on motorsport remained. It proved that a car known for safety and durability could also be a championship-winning race car. Production of the Volvo 240 series continued until 1993. Over its nearly 20-year run, more than 2.8 million units were built. While most of these were standard models used as family cars, the 240 Turbo left a lasting impression as one of Volvo's most exciting and unexpected performance vehicles. Today, the 240 Turbo is a sought-after collector's car. Enthusiasts appreciate its blend of practicality and performance. Many original models are still on the road, a testament to Volvo's build quality. The racing versions are even more rare, with only a handful of surviving examples. Owners and fans keep the legacy of the Flying Brick alive through restoration projects and vintage racing events.